Hello students, we are again going to continue with the computer science 2 chapter number 1 introduction to microprocessor. In last lecture we have seen very important questions like what is microprocessor, what are the functions of microprocessor. Then we have seen evolution of microprocessor. So we are totally having 5 generations. After that we have seen the question like block diagram of microcomputer system and explain the functions. So in block diagram we have seen first component is keyboard. After keyboard is connected to the keyboard interface. Then keyboard interface is connected to the MPU, that is microprocessor unit. To the microprocessor unit clock is connected. After that we are having ROM, RAM. Then display interface is there. Display interface is connected to the 7 segment display device. Then at the right hand side we have seen power supply, and their data buses are present as well as power lines were present. In the center we are having control buses and interrupt line, and at the left hand side we are having address decoder, and along with that we are having address buses. Total 16 address buses are there, and chip select lines are also there to select an appropriate device. So this particular microcomputer system diagram we have seen. Now in today's lecture, the first question is write a note on simplified CPU organization. Actually we are having 3 questions, but the answer for all these 3 questions is same only. So this particular question is asked in 3 types. Write a note on simplified CPU organization. List any 3 primary functions of CPU of microcomputer. Draw a neat simplified block diagram of CPU architecture of microcomputer. So answer for all these 3 questions is same only. So basically this is the block diagram of CPU architecture of microcomputer. Last lecture we have seen my block diagram of microcomputer system. Now we are learning the block diagram of CPU architecture of microcomputer system. Okay. So in this diagram now we will start from the right and then we will move towards the left. So at the right hand side we are having data bus, and then we are having input lines. Data bus is connected to the buffer and the input lines are connected to the timing and control section. Then buffer is connected to the internal bus. Internal bus is connected to total 4 components, that is temporal register, accumulator, program counter, instruction register. Then in this temporal register and accumulator is connected to the arithmetic logic unit. Program counter is connected to the internal bus, and instruction register is connected to the instruction decoder. Then this instruction decoder is connected to the timing and control section. And as we have seen, the program counter which is connected to the internal bus, and again this same internal buses are connected to the buffer and latch, and then we are having address buses and control lines. Okay, so this is the block diagram of CPU architecture. So to remember this diagram again, now we are going to learn this component for the first time, but at the end of the chapter definitely you will remember all the components, because in so many questions we are going to have the same blocks or same elements again and again. Like we are just now last lecture we have seen temporal register. So temporal register is nothing but a kind of register which is used to store the data while program execution. Then ALU we have already seen. ALU is nothing but arithmetic logic unit which is used to perform arithmetic and logical operations. Then we are having one more register, accumulator. Accumulator is nothing but one important register. Means whenever the arithmetic logic unit performs any type of operation, the final result is always stored inside the accumulator only. So means from the accumulator the data is sent to the arithmetic logic unit, and from the arithmetic and logic unit the result which is produced, that is again sent to the accumulator. This is the reason why if you notice the arrows, accumulator arrow is bidirectional. Means from the data bus we can have the data inside the accumulator, and that particular data is sent to the arithmetic logic unit, and again the arithmetic logic unit can send the final result inside the accumulator, and from the accumulator we can send the data again towards the data buses. So this way, that is both the way communication is possible. But if you notice other arrows, they are only one directional. That is temporal register. From the temporal register, the data is sent to the accumulator, sorry, arithmetic logic unit. Then from we are having program counter element which is connected to the internal bus line. Basically, what is function of program counter is, now suppose we are having add, subtract and rotate instruction. So currently we are executing add instruction. So after add, which instruction we are having? Rotate. Suppose rotate instruction we are having. So the memory location of rotate instruction is stored inside the program counter. So from this what you will come to know, I am currently executing add instruction, and after that instruction, after add instruction, which instruction I want to execute, that instruction memory I will get from the program counter. Means indirectly which instruction to be executed next, that you will come to know from the program counter. In the program counter, whatever memory location is there, and at that memory location whatever instruction is stored, that we will execute. So basically program counter tells us that which instruction to be executed next. So that location, that address of that particular instruction is stored inside the program counter. Then we are having instruction register. Basically instruction register stores the instructions which you want to execute, and then this particular instruction register is connected to instruction decoder. Actually in instruction register, the first byte of instruction is stored. Actually now we have not started with the chapter number 2, but in chapter number 2 we are going to write down the mnemonics. Mnemonics is nothing but a set of instructions, okay? And each and every instruction is having two parts. First part is opcode, then we are having operand. So opcode value is stored inside the instruction register. That is first byte of instruction is stored inside the instruction register, and then this particular data is taken by the instruction decoder. Instruction decoder will decode that instruction, means it will find out the address or binary value of that particular first byte of instruction, and according to the instruction, and this actually decoded information will be sent to the timing and control signal, and according to the instruction, timing and control signal gives the output or gives or set the specific flag and all. So this particular kind of processing is done in case of CPU architecture. So I hope this diagram is hopefully at least little components are remembered by you. Always start from the right hand side and move towards the left hand side. So the at right hand side we are having data bus input lines which are connected to the buffer and timing and control signal. Then this buffer is connected to the internal bus. Internal bus is connected to four components. First component is temporal register, accumulator. These two registers, two components are connected to ALU. Then the third component which is connected to the internal bus is program counter, which is connected to again internal bus only. And then fourth component which is connected to the internal bus, that is instruction register, that is connected to instruction decoder, and instruction decoder is connected to the timing and control signal. So like that, and at the left hand side we will be having address bus. Total 16 address buses are there, and the data bus, total 8 data buses are there. Okay, so this is your CPU architecture diagram. And then we are having the explanation. Whatever I have explained just now, the same thing is there, is explained in this theory part. So basically CPU is contains storage elements called register, and some computational circuitry is present, that is called as ALU. Other than these important components, that is register and ALU, CPU is having input output connections, instruction decoder is there, and control and timing section. All these things or components are part of CPU. Okay, so whenever we are having ALU unit, that is arithmetic logic unit, which is present in the CPU, it performs operations such as add, shift, rotate, compare, increment, decrement, and or XOR, complement, clear and preset. So all these operations are performed by the arithmetic and logic unit of the CPU, and they have just given the instruction, that is whenever we want to perform suppose addition. So we are having two important registers. First one is accumulator and the second one is temporal register. Okay, So the first one, that is accumulator, in that if I want to perform addition, then now one number is compulsorily should be stored inside the accumulator, and to store the second number which you want to add, that you can store inside the temporary register. So when we perform the addition, first number is present inside the accumulator and the second number is present inside the temporary register. And when we perform, or when ALU perform the addition operation, the final result of that particular operation is again stored inside the accumulator. So from this execution you will come to know that accumulator content will get changed after the execution of add instruction, but the temporary register will remain same only. Okay, only accumulator content will get changed. So that explanation they have given. Again, ALU is having two components, adder and shifter, which performs actually addition and subtraction or other arithmetic and logical operation, and again the final result is fed inside accumulator only, and then that particular result can be sent via internal data bus lines to different peripherals like output devices, on which we will be able to see the result. Then the next part is primary functions of CPU of microcomputer. So whatever functions which we have learned in case of microprocessor, all the same four functions are again performed by the CPU also. So the first function is to fetch, decode, execute program instructions in proper order. Second function is to transfer the data from one block to other, or from one block to input output lines. The same thing is written in little different format. Then we are having third function, that is give appropriate response to the externally produced interrupts according to their priority. So interrupt related point is there, and the fourth point which we have seen, that is provide proper control and timing signal to the whole system according to the instructions. So these are the four primary functions of CPU as well as microprocessor. Then the next, now just now we have seen the block diagram of CPU architecture. So whatever components which we have seen, the same components they have explained. First component is instruction register. Particularly this particular register is 8-bit register which holds the first byte of an instruction. That is, actually it holds an opcode it holds. Now what is opcode, what is operand, that you will come to know when we will start with the second chapter. Next component is instruction decoder. Basically this particular unit receives the data from the instruction register. It actually interprets the content of instruction register. Okay, so this much only you can, if you want to write, you can write. Then the next component is ALU. Whenever you are having the ALU, write a note on, or for 1 mark, 2 mark, if we are having ALU, then this particular line is very important. That is, ALU performs arithmetic, logic and rotate operations. So arithmetic operations means addition, subtraction, increment, decrement. Logical operation means logical AND, logical OR, logical XOR. Complement is also there. And then we are having rotate operation, that is rotate the content towards the left, rotate the content towards the right. For that we are having total 4 instructions. So that is rotated. So all these operations are performed by the ALU. And when ALU performs certain operation, the final result is automatically sent inside or stored inside the accumulator only, and then that particular result will be sent to the peripheral devices like 7-segment display via internal data bus lines. And whenever we perform any operation, one data is present inside the temporary register and other data should be present inside the accumulator only. Okay, and when we perform, or when accumulator performs certain type of operations, then sometimes the signals are sent to the control and timing section also. According to the result of the ALU, the timing and control signal set some flags. Then the next component is of CPU architecture, accumulator, which is 8-bit general purpose register, which is used to store the result of arithmetic, logic, load, store and input output operations. Next one is program counter. This is again 16-bit area which always points to the next instruction to be executed. Just now I have explained you. So basically in program counter we store the memory location, and memory location is always 16-bit address. Okay. Then the next component is timing and control unit. This particular section receives signal from the instruction decoder to determine the nature of the instruction to be executed. Information from the status register is also available for the conditional branching. Timing and control signals are sent to all part of microprocessor to coordinate the execution of instruction. External control signal are also generated. There are so many functions which are performed by the timing and control section. First function is it always receives the signal from the instruction decoder, because in the diagram we have seen that the instruction decoder is connected to the timing and control signal. So arrow from the instruction register is going to timing and control signal. So what is meaning of that arrow? That is timing and control unit receives the signal from the instruction decoder, and according to that signal it determines the nature of instruction, that is which type of instruction we want to execute. Then we are having one more register, that is status register, which is not actually shown in the diagram, but that this particular register is there, which is also called as flag register. So we are having total 5 flags. So information from the status register is also available to the timing and control signal, with the help of which it can take So timing and control section is again actually responsible for to perform or to coordinate all the components or all the parts of microprocessor. For that, timing and control unit is important. It also receives the external control signals also. Then this next component is status register. Status register is also called as flag register. In microprocessor 8085 we are having total 5 flags, on which we will be having separate question that we will learn in further lectures. So basically flags are nothing but the flip-flops. Set of flip-flops are there which are set and reset according to the data conditions in the accumulator. Out of which there are 2 flags which is given in this point, that is 0 flag and carry flag. So when arithmetic logic unit perform any operations like addition or subtraction, according to the result these particular flags are set or reset. Then the next component is stack pointer. So from the program counter you will come to know which is the instruction to be executed next. Like that, if you want to find out the instruction which you have currently executed, that you will come to know from the stack pointer, which is again 16-bit register only, which stores the address of memory locations of the stack. Stack means recently executed instruction. Then the next component is data or address registers. The data or address register are nothing but 8-bit register, like we are having different pairs. So now data and address register, in that we are going to use one important pair, that is HL. HL are nothing but the name of the registers. So these 2 important register, 8-bit register are there. They are used as a pair whenever we want to store the 16-bit data, and we can use them single-handed only to store the data. So data or address register, that is H and L, are the data or address register. Means these register we can use to store the data, as well as we can use these 2 register as a pair to store the address. Then we are having address bus. Basically address bus is group of 16 lines. As we have learned this, we are having total 16 address buses which are unidirectional in nature, that is from the microprocessor to the peripherals only we can send the data using address buses. Then the next bus line which we are having, that is data buses. So data buses, we are totally having 8 data buses which are bidirectional in nature. Bidirectional in nature means we can send the data between MPU memory and peripheral devices. Then the next component is buffer or latches. So latch is nothing but a flip-flop again, which is used to store one bit of information, that is 1 or 0, and buffer is again enable or disable by the latch. Means if the latch value is 1, then enable the buffer. If the latch value is 0, means when it is reset, then disable the buffer. Like that operations are performed. Then the next question is write a note on microprocessor based system. Microprocessor based system means just now we have seen one in the first question or whatever question we have learned. Now we want to use all the components of all these questions. In the current slide there is diagram given about microprocessor based system. So the first diagram, that is first box, is nothing but microprocessor. That is, we are having three important components under microprocessor like ALU, register array is there, then control and timing section. So this is our microprocessor, which is connected to the system bus. So in this diagram, the first part is microprocessor, which is having three parts: ALU, register array, and control and timing section, which is connected to the system bus. And again, these system buses are connected to the input, output, and memory. So in memory we are having two types, ROM and ROM. So this is the diagram for microprocessor based system. So till now we have seen so many diagrams. So you should remember the diagrams according to the questions, because most of this time the students are making this mistake only. They get confused in the diagram. Question is different and the diagram is different. So you should find out some way to remember all the diagrams. So again, in this question you have to explain the definition about microprocessor. That is, microprocessor is a semiconductor device which stores the instruction in a special area called memory, receives binary data as an input, processes the data according to the instructions, and display the result as output. So this is the definition for microprocessor. Then microprocessor is having divided into three segments, three parts, that is ALU. So again we have learned what we need to write about the ALU: arithmetic logic unit, different types of operations which are performed by the arithmetic and logic unit, that you need to explain. Then we have register array. So register array means it is a collection of register. So accumulator is one of the part of register array. Other than accumulator we are having so many other register also, like we are having B, C, D, E, HL register. So the primary purpose of having register is used to store the data temporarily for the execution of the program. Next important component of microprocessor, that is control unit, which actually send the necessary timing and control signals to all the operations in the microprocessor. Or in simple words we can say that this particular unit actually coordinate all the parts of microprocessor whenever you want to send the data between microprocessor, memory, and peripherals. So this is the first part which just now we have seen, that is microprocessor. Then we have memory. We are having memory is like a pages of notebook with a space for fixed number of binary numbers each line. So like only we are having two types of memory, ROM, that is read only memory. Then we have RAM, random access memory. Read only memory, which is used to store the data temporarily, and this particular memory is designed by the manufacturer only. And read only memory we are using to store the address or to store the program we are using this, so it is also called as program memory. And random access memory, it is used to store the data, so it is called as data memory also. That is, on this memory we can perform write as well as read operation. Then we are having input output components, like we are having keyboard as input devices. After that we are having light emitting diode, so that can be used as an output device. Then we are having 7 segment display, so output device that is used to display the output. So all the IO devices are also called as peripheral devices. Then we have system buses. So basically system bus is used to communicate between the microprocessor, so it is actually connected to the memory, microprocessor and input output device. So whenever all these three components wants to communicate with each other, then in that situation system bus plays a very important role. So this is next question is, draw a neat simplified block diagram of generic microprocessor. So this is very huge diagram which is given. So my suggestion to all my student is to skip this particular question, because it is very difficult to remember the components also. And suppose if we remember the component, but still it will take lot of time to draw the diagram. So in spite of attempting this particular question, we can solve any other two question in that time only. But still, if you want to remember this, if you want to draw this diagram, if you are having question in your theory paper, so normally this particular diagram will be for 3 to 4 marks. So we don't need to explain any components and all, you just need to draw this diagram. So remember, now we are drawing again block diagram, but of generic microprocessor. We are having different block diagrams we have seen, like microcomputer system, block diagram of microcomputer system, then block diagram of microprocessor based system we have seen. Then we have seen block diagram of CPU architecture of microcomputer. Now we are seeing block diagram of generic microprocessor. After that also we are going to, in further lecture, we will be having one diagram, that is draw block diagram, functional block diagram of microprocessor system. So all these diagrams are different. Okay, so we should remember each and every diagram according to its component. So now we are having generic microprocessor. Actually this particular diagram is combination of all the components which we have seen in CPU register diagram or in microcomputer based system. So just again we are starting from the right hand side. We are having data buses. Then these databases are connected to the buffers and latches, and then these buffer and latches are connected to the internal bus. Then to the internal bus, temporary register, accumulator, data address register, program counter, stack pointer, instruction register is connected. So from this diagram, if you remember, we have seen the CPU organization, CPU architecture, right? So the same content is given here also. Same diagram is there, but some more components are added. In that diagram we were not having data or address register, stack pointer is not there, so these two components are added. And again, to the temporary register and accumulator, ALU is connected, but now they have given the elaborated ALU diagram. That is, actually ALU, that is arithmetic and logic unit, it is consisting of status register, complementer and shifter and adder. These three components are part of ALU, so that they have shown clearly. Okay, so in place of ALU they have shown the components of ALU also. Then the data or address register, program counter, stack pointer, all these three components are connected to the internal bus, and this internal bus is connected to the buffers and latches. And then at the right and left hand side we are always having address buses, so that they have given. So this much diagram is, I hope, clear to you. And then we are having instruction register, instruction decoder, which is connected to the timing and control section. So this much we have seen in CPU organization only the explanation is given, that is data and address register, that is HL is the register which is used as a data as well as address register. So this they have given, and the stack pointer is they have added, which is again 16-bit register which is used to store the stack. So the upper part of the diagram is almost similar to the CPU organization, only these two components are connected to the internal bus lines, that is added. And they have given the components of ALU also. Instead of writing only ALU, they have shown which are the components which are present as a part of ALU, like status register, complementer and shifter, adder. About these components, status register, complementer, shifter, adder, we are going to have separate question. That is next lecture we are going to learn the block diagram of ALU. So in that we will be having the detailed description about this particular diagram part of the diagram, that is ALU. And now to the timing and control signal, there are different things which are connected. So these things are nothing but the pins. As we all know that 8085 microprocessor is a 40 pin IC, 40. So WR, that is stands for write, that is one of the pin of microprocessor which is connected to the timing and control signal. Like that we are having other pins like read, CLK. Then we have X1 and X2, these are the crystals. X1 and X2 are the pins. Then we are having 5V, that is VCC and VSS. These two pins are there as a part of 8085 microprocessor which are used for the power supply. That is pin number 20 is used and the pin number 40 is used for the positive and ground connection. Then we are having interrupt control section, to which interrupt INTR, this is one of the pin which is connected. And then we are having reset. So I think the upper part of the diagram is very easy to remember. If you are not remembering the other pins, that is write and read, actually you will definitely understand these pins when we learn the pin diagram of microprocessor. After that lecture, if you are again coming to this particular diagram, you will come to know, yes, these pins are there. Now we have not seen the pins of microprocessor, so it may be difficult for you to remember